This is just a short tutorial on how to make something that's really good for scrap busting. I made this out of some silk I had left from a dress I made last summer for a friend of mine as it was her birthday and I wanted to make her a present. So this is just going to talk you through the process. It's really easy. All you need is a tape measure, some beads, or you can use marbles, anything like that will do. These are just wooden ones I got on eBay. And then you need some fabric, and you're going to need that in a nice long strip. The first thing you do is take one of your beads and measure the circumference using a tape measure. These beads that I've got are 2.5 inches around, and then you need to add on top of whatever your measurement is, you want to add some seam allowance. I've gone for 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to use 1/4 inch seam allowance when I sew my fabric, but if you want more than that because it's going to fray a lot or whatever, use a bit more. So then you want to measure out your fabric and make sure the strip is that width. Then in terms of the length of your fabric, you want it to be twice what you want the final length of your necklace to be, because we're going to be knotting it and that shortens it a bit. So figure out how long you want your necklace to be when it's finished, and it's going to be double that. Then take your strip and fold it in half right sides together, and you want to sew all the way along the long edge using the seam allowance that you determined earlier. I'm going to use 1/4 inch for this one. And then on one end only, you want to do a diagonal 45-degree stitch so that you can mitre that end. Only do it on one end, because otherwise you can't get the beads down. Once you've done that, you will end up with a nice long strip. And at this point, before you try and turn it inside out, it is a very good idea to make sure that your bead actually fits down the tube that you've created, because you don't want to go through faff of turning it inside out, which does take a little bit of time, and then find out that it's too small. So I would recommend at this point you find your bead and stuff it down, and assuming it fits, you then want to go through the process of turning it the right way round, i.e. so the seam allowances on the inside of the tube. If you've got a turner, brilliant. I didn't, but actually I could do it with my fingers because it was a nice silky fabric that moved really easily. So your tube's the right way round, and you want to measure 5 inches from the end that you sewed together and tie a knot. And then you post a bead down the tube. You may need to kind of give it a bit of a jiggle to help it move along. And if you've got seams at any point, make sure those don't get pulled out of shape as you're forcing the bead down, because it should be quite a snug fit, but it should be enough space for it to move relatively easily. And once your bead's in, you want to pull the fabric around it and then tie a knot close to the bead. So you end up with a tail of 5 inches, a knot, your bead, and then another knot. And essentially you just repeat that process. So keep posting beads down the tube and tie a knot in between each one until you get to the length you want your necklace to be minus about 6 inches. Then you tie your final knot, and the remaining length of your fabric tube is then going to be the tie for the back of the necklace. So all you need to do then is just turn the ends, your raw ends of the open tube in, and slip stitch them closed by hand, and that's your necklace done. So it's incredibly easy, it's very straightforward, and it's a really nice way of using up scraps of fabric. I managed to use up the kind of end of the silk that I hadn't quite cut, and I had plenty of fabric available for that. So if you've made an outfit and you really like the fabric but you've only got a little bit left, this is a great project. Anyway, I hope that was useful, and give it a try, and I will see you again soon.